Bishop Michael A. Badger, Senior Pastor, of Bethesda World Harvest International Church. And beside me is...
Lady J. I'm so glad to be here this morning.
Come on now.
Good morning, everybody.
Come on. Listen, I got my better half with me today. And we want to wish you a happy Resurrection Week. This is our Holy Week. This is the week that it becomes the greatest part of the celebration as being a Christian. And so we pray that you are celebrating this time with family and friends, and look forward to seeing you at church tomorrow, at somebody's church tomorrow. We've got our AME or CME Christians, Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter. It's your Sunday.
Yes. Bring the children, bring the babies. We have nice celebration baskets for the children. So we're just trying to get our count. We usually have a lot of kids coming, so it's going to be a blessing to all the babies that come to church on tomorrow.
Absolutely. Well, let's recognize our sponsors, because without them, we can't do what we do. First of all, my man, Terry McKelvey, my man, John Elmore, the Legal Eagles. Terry McKelvey, 716-424-2070, 716-424-2070. Terry McKelvey, still one of the hardest working men. I don't know, Terry ain't going to retire. He just, he continues. Every time I see him, he's up late because he's working on the case, and but that's his love. He's good at what he does. And that's my man, Terry McKelvey, 716-424-2070. And then John Elmore, the $3 million man. John and his daughter are doing tremendous things in the legal field, representing the May 14th families and setting precedents, national precedents, probably international precedents, as they are pursuing justice for these families. But for your slip and fall, car accidents, medical malpractice, all of those type of things. John Elmore, $3 million man. Mm-hmm. And then our shero, none other than Dr. Francis Aluza. Matter of fact, I had someone call me the last time I was on with Dr. Francis, said, Bishop, we really need to have a dinner or something to celebrate Dr. Francis. Oh, wow. I told her, get back to me. I think, she's got like 5,000 patients. I'm sure that a lot of those patients would like to say thank you to her. That would be awesome. Yeah, it would be. And she deserves it. I don't think people really understand the commitment level that it takes to be a primary physician and have a local practice. She's one of the few that's still doing it. Most are tied to some type of health corporation, not because it's just too expensive. The money's not there in it.
And they put you on such a terrible schedule where you only have 5 minutes with your patients, So it's just really, really an honor to be a part of that.
Yeah, she's going to take the time.
She's going to take the time, and she's going to tell you the truth.
Right.
And she's not just going to give you pills. But she's definitely a jewel in our community.
No question. So, shout out to Dr. Francis, who supports this program. Hello. And so we want to say, if you need a primary physician, I recommend you speak to Dr. Francis. Well, this is, as I said, Holy Week, and wanted to talk about religion, Christianity, as this being the week that we celebrate the resurrection of our Savior Jesus Christ. And just want to look at religion as it pertains to our culture today. And so the Barnum Group was sharing some statistics, which I find very interesting. So I'm going to read this article to you. It says, in the artist formerly known as Prince song, 1999, he alludes to the hope and anticipation of a new millennium. So far, I feel the 2000s haven't lived up to the hype. We've lived through 9/11, the worst recession in recent history, a global racial upheaval, political unrest, rising interest rates, and now the ongoing threat of COVID and all of its variants. No medical intervention has inoculated us from the psychic effects of a world in turmoil. But America seems open to a different antidote to help make sense of life in these chaotic times. In October of 2022, Barna surveyed of 2,000 U.S. adults, 3 out of 4, 74% said they want to grow spiritually. Additionally, the same proportion, 77% say they believe in a higher power. Nearly half, 44%, say they are more open to God today than before the pandemic. Barna has been tracking the state of Christianity for nearly 4 decades. Though the trajectory of Christian commitment in the U.S. has been on a downward slide and is in need of urgent intervention, our new data gives Christian leaders cause for hope. Signs of hope. Overall, 80% of Americans say they think there is a spiritual or supernatural dimension to the world. 11% say they don't think such a dimension exists, but it is possible. Meanwhile, only 9% say they do not believe it exists. Though religious affiliation and church attendance continues to decline, spiritual openness and curiosity are on the rise. Across every fact, we see an unprecedented desire to grow spiritually, a belief in a spiritual supernatural dimension, and a belief in God or a higher power. Looking forward to an open generation, some of the greatest signs of hope for church comes from our recent study, our largest one to date of teens around the world, including the U.S. findings from the open generation, indicates that young people may be fueling the rise in spiritual hunger. Overwhelmingly, Christian teens today say that Jesus still matters to them. Wow. 76% say Jesus speaks to me in a way that is relevant to my life. In a culture that has generally downgraded the reputation of Christians and relegated Sunday worship and other church-related activities to the sidelines of society, teens remain refreshingly open to Jesus as an influence in their lives. Wow. It doesn't really matter where they are coming from. People are weary of the constant divisions we see played out on the public stage and in our social media feeds, of hurtful rhetoric and of love with limits, but it seems that this coming generation still believes that there is a person who reminds us that there is good and a right way to live. Teens' openness to the world and all its potential is striking. Granted, no matter what context a teen lives in, they are in the early stages of developing their worldview and character. The openness is on some level a reflection of youth, but that fact doesn't dimension the reality of their overall, which is all the more surprising considering they're responding to our survey during a global pandemic. The teens in our study are not jaded or cynical. They are open to different faiths, including Christianity. They are open to friends, causes, and ideas. Though parents, educators, and others who mentor young people have a tall task to provide wise guidance to emerging adults, today's teens are confronting the church with something that we haven't seen before, a clean slate to imagine a different future. Wow. So, okay, we got Pastor McAllister. We're going to go to our conversation after this, but Pastor McAllister.
Good morning, Bishop. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm hanging in there. Thank the Lord. What's going on with you guys? Sounds like you're reading a tremendous article there.
Yeah, this is from the Barnum group, and talking about the impact of what people say spiritualism in our society today. And about 77% of people say that they're spiritual. They believe that they're a spiritual being. They're not real excited about church, but a lot of them is excited about knowing about God. And they call it the open generation. Teenagers are very interested in knowing Jesus.
Wow.
I find that to be exciting.
Wow.
I find that to be because, it gives the church an opportunity to, tap into that generation which I would have thought it was just the opposite of that.
Right.
But there's good news on the horizon. There's a hunger
Praise God.
for knowing God, and I think that's exciting.
Absolutely.
So what's going on, my brother?
Glad to know that.
Yeah.
Well, we're here now preparing for an event. We're hopefully going to do a peaceful protest against, I don't want to use the phrase, but against the people who live next door or who exist next door, who assumed that it's all right to just judicial system and to rewrite their own policies regarding our property and parking lot. And we've had enough. The last time we went to court, our lawyers simply the way they just. I guess there's a league of communication between the legal society and our lawyers, who I guess weren't that powerful, were coming against the lawyers who were represented by the Pagulas, who were represented by the rich and powerful. They've chosen to just walk away from our situation. So we're saying we're not going to stand for it. So we're protesting, and we're trusting that we can bring attention to the city, to the judicial system, that you're not just going to arbitrarily, unilaterally take our property.
So, Pastor McCown, let me ask you a question. How long has the church been existing there? As long as I remember. But how long has the church been there?
We've been here at least 45 years, haven't we?
And that's been you all parking lot. And that's been you all parking lot.
30. It's been about. Okay, I'm sorry. It's been about 35.
Yeah, but before you were there, there was another church.
Another pastor was there before you.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. It's been a church for a long time.
Yeah. So, question. So, what you're saying? There's a workout center next door to your building, and they want to take your parking lot.
Yes, they have manipulated the affairs. The agreement that was originally written that said that they would be allowed to put 7 cars on our lot. But in doing, they went and rewritten the easement agreement on their own. That's why I said unilaterally. And they did not have our participation or our agreement to do that. And now they've gotten the judges to cooperate with them.
Wow.
In particular, it's interesting, our particular judge, who has been considered a ruthless gunslinger, that's what other lawyers and other judges have called him. His name is Timothy Walker. This guy has been actually denounced and replaced by Governor Kathy Hochul. I guess he's done so many things so egregiously till they just completely removed him.
Let me ask you this, because in order to get an easement, they would have had to notify you, and you would have had to been in agreement with that, correct?
That is correct.
What happened?
Well, we're not sure, because in the last court proceeding, not the last one, a court proceeding ago, our lawyer during COVID and after COVID just on 3 different occasions just did not show up.
Wow.
Didn't give us any going to come. He just he just didn't show up. And so the Judge Timothy Walker gave them permission to rewrite the easement agreement, and they rewrote it so that they would give us 19 spots on our parking lot.
Oh,
that's
Out of
crazy.
69 spots, they want 50, and they were going to give us 19.
Wow.
They told us that we couldn't sue them if they ran over one of our kids.
What?
We couldn't sue them if they damaged our property, and that we were not to report this to anyone. None of these proceedings to anybody locally, media, or anything. They wanted us to sign an agreement to that effect.
Let me ask you this: did you file a grievance with the Association of Attorneys, whatever that's called, about that particular attorney?
Right.
Well, we're going to do that, but at this point in time, Bishop, we're trying to keep our head above the water. They've already adjudicated this, and Judge Walker has already given them permission. At this point in time, they have a restraining order against us.
Oh, wow.
So today, we will be violating the restraining order because we're going to have signs up. We got the news on their way saying, you cannot take our property.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They told us we couldn't say anything to them. We couldn't do anything to stop them. And if you came by our lot right now, it is completely consumed by their patrons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Pastor. Okay, now, I come by there every day. So I see who the clientele is there. It's these young suburban Caucasian women made the gym out of the building next door to you. Why do they need all your parking space? They got full parking space on both sides of Main Street.
That's correct. That's correct. They've entirely covered our parking lot and in front of the church and across the street. So they have approximately 1,423 members. And they bring them in succession. So as soon as one class is over, another class starts. 6 in the morning till about 9 or 10, or maybe 12. And they do that 6 days a week. Actually, 7 days.
7 days. I see them on Sundays.
On Sunday. Mm-hmm. But they do it. I was going to tell Mel to have her news person to come. She knows a news person. So, yeah, that's where we are, Pastor.
Well,
we're just no longer going to lay down and let them.
Yeah, this is crazy. That's crazy. And here again, this is why there's such concern about gentrification in our community. We've been here. We have been through the time of disinvestment in this community, redlining, and to have the audacity. This is your property, and to say that you can't use your own property,
and he keep it up. It's not like he hasn't been taking care of the property.
Right.
It's well grown, taking care of everything.
I don't know. I've never heard of such a thing. I wanted to know where is your common council person on this?
Well, we approached the common council, and they said to me, Reverend, that's a civil matter. That's between you and your neighbor. We initially got the similar response from even the NAACP, but now I think Pastor Blue and his group are going to join in because it appears now that it could easily look like a racial matter in that 99% of the clientele is Caucasian.
Absolutely.
The ownership is completely Caucasian, and we are a church that is primarily African American, and they're doing what they do without unity.
Right.
They just feel like it's all right.
To just take it.
They told the police officer the last time we called the police, why don't you tell them, talking about us, why don't you tell them to get off the parking lot?
Wow.
Your own property. This is crazy. Hopefully the community is hearing this. What time is the peaceful protest?
It's going to start at about 10 o'clock, so in a little bit more than a half an hour. And again, we've got a couple of we've got Channel 2 and maybe another news station that's going to join us. But we just felt it necessary to say because the judicial system has completely, I just found out that we've got judges committing suicide because this stuff is becoming open. Just as recent as last month, we had another judge to commit suicide because we're finding them out. they've been able to do these kinds of things without impunity, without anybody holding them accountable. And I really believe that's why Kathy Hochul removed our judge. This guy said things like, they don't do those kind of things. He doesn't allow that in his courtroom because he's from South Buffalo.
Wow.
He's been reported as saying he's from South Buffalo, and he doesn't play that.
Well, I think that, first of all, you've got God on your side. I know that the community, I believe the community is hearing this, and I don't think people knew that you were in this kind of fight. So I'm asking the listeners that listen at 10 o'clock, if you would go down to Main and Northland, right? It's on the west side of Main Street, the church there, Midtown.
What's the address, Pastor?
1722 Main Street.
1722
and you're
Main
right,
Street.
right across from Northland Avenue.
Right.
And it's simply just us saying we're going to have posters out. We've got bottled water, cup of coffee, donuts for those who want them. But we're just saying we're not going to lay down. We don't care if you put us all in jail. Because they told us that if we say anything to their patrons, they could fine us up to $10,000.
That ain't even constitutional. How you going to say that we can't? I can say hi. I can. As a matter of fact, I tell you what, they'd have to tow all my cars because they would all be on there. You're gonna have to tow my car every week because I'm gonna tell you something. How you gonna take my property?
Jesus.
How you gonna take my property? This is crazy.
And Bishop, here's what's so interesting about it. Our property is rated tax-free. We're a 501c3.
Tax-exempt.
A tax-free organization. So they pay no taxes. They give us no support. Now, they do plow the lot in the winter, but they've got a 69-car lot property for free, and it's not for profit. They're generating a significant profit. As I shared with you earlier, the Pagulas have an interest in this effort, and there are other very wealthy, prominent lawyers and doctors that attend. So they've got great resources.
Wow.
But we got God, Reverend.
That's it.
And
That's
we're
it.
not backing down.
That's it. And, the thing, this is your, I need the community to hear this. This is Midtown's property. And if they were never given the right to object to an easement, easement has to be agreed upon by the owner. You don't have to give it. And for
one of the other things, Bishop, because we are a not-for-profit corporation, we're required to have legal representation. When they initially did this 44 years ago with the other pastor, the pastor nor the church had any legal representation. They did this unilaterally on their own against the church. So from day one until this very day, they've operated in secrecy, in deceit, and in trickery. Even to the point that the proposal that we're operating under now, they've legislated it, they've organized it without any participation from us.
Yeah. Well, I definitely hope that the community hears this and will come out and support. We're definitely going to stop by today and lend our support. This is crazy. But, Brett, thank you for your time, man. We're supporting you. We're praying for you and definitely in support. And, if there's some attorneys out there that are listening, that are willing to get involved with this, I think we got to fight this. I think we have to say, when do we as a people stand up and say no?
You don't have to know them personally. You see wrong being done. Let's stand up.
Let's stand up. We're always complaining, but when it comes to fighting for ours, we silent. This is the issue of gentrification personified.
If we let it happen to them, they're going to keep happening over and over in our community.
But for them to come and just be able to take your property, and whoever this judge was, lawyer, and he's been removed, then all of the cases he ruled over over should be looked at.
I totally agree. I mean, we had a judge that, as of last month, because they were about to be found out, they went and committed suicide. Because before now, they were doing what they did with impunity. Nobody was holding them accountable.
Wow.
And because they were the final word, they were just doing what they wanted to do. And this judge was one of those. We were told by the lawyers, Reverend, you need to be quiet and cooperate, because this judge doesn't play. He will put you in jail.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to put me in. You're gonna have to put me in jail when it comes to my property. How dare you tell me what I can do with my property? You know, listen. At the end of the day, I serve God. There's still a higher power, Judge. I don't care what power you think you have. There's an ultimate power above you, and believe me, you know that's my daddy. He gonna take care of me. Listen. Well, hey.
Man, you don't start me to hollering, man.
Listen, we got some phone calls on, man, but we're going to come over today. That's at 1322 Main Street. 1722. I'm sorry. 1722 Main Street, right across from Northland. Please come out and support Pastor McAllister and his congregation, Midtown, that have been in this community for decades.
Amen.
We need to support.
30+ years myself.
Yes,
wow.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, my brother.
All right, we'll see you in a little bit. God bless.
Okay, look forward to seeing you guys here. Thank you. God bless.
Okay. I think we got a caller on. Caller, are you there?
Good morning. Hello?
Yes.
Good morning.
Hey, Pat.
Oh, good morning. Good morning.
Hey.
Lady J.
Hey, my sister, how are you?
Wait a minute, Pat. Now, Pat, she ain't the only one here.
I'm sorry. I always say good morning, gentlemen. Okay. I like to hear Lady J's voice. She's an inspiration to me.
Yeah, so do I. But you got to say hi to me too, Pat.
She's an inspiration to community, and she's an inspiration to me. Does it from her heart. A lot of people, blah blah. And she got a heart. But anyway, I wanted to ask a question to the guy that was on. He said that they said that this is a civil matter. Okay, now, I don't understand. Okay, like now, if I want, it used to be, I haven't tried in maybe about 4 or 5 years. If you decide, I want to buy a property, that was a lot next door to me. And if I decided that I wanted to buy that lot, that people that own the property, that live there, they have first choice of getting that. And that's downtown on the books. Now, I don't know if it still is. I don't understand. The council people say, if it is because illegal, I don't know, what district is this in?
This is probably Ellicott.
Well, I hope the Ellicott district, I forgot her name, come on out and support y'all and help fight. Whether they feel it's legal, they need to come on board. All the community people need to come on board. I'm going to be there. It might be a little late, but I'm glad that you put it out there, because we don't know, then we can't support you. Can't support him. But this is ridiculous, and I can't believe it, that they're going to take that property there on your property, even though it's 501c3 or whatever, non-for-profit, whatever. I just can't believe that the judge did it. Somebody downtown did something that the judge had to go along with. The judge is not that naive and dumb, unless they know they weren't going to do it unless there was a fight. There's a missing link somewhere in between there. What went on between City Hall, the council, real estate department, and that judge. So I'm going to come down there. God bless y'all and keep up the fight.
Pat.
Thanks, Pat. I think when it comes to easements, I think that comes from the city. The notice of a request for easement. I think that's not. It's judicial now, but I think initially that comes from the city, I believe. But let's go back to our phone lines. Caller, you're on the air. Caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I am interested in you using the word justification. I'm saying that because that's going to be a word we're going to hear more and more. We heard about it mainly 10 years ago. As Buffalo become more say, inclusive about being a lot of place where people want to come from the suburbs to repopulate the city.
Sure.
You can see many instances of this. I know that Pilgrim Baptist Church had the same problem with their property. Pilgrim Village. I think I got the right church.
Yep.
We have the same problem with St. John, who's fighting deny the medical corridor because not a medical corridor don't want them to build on their own property they've had for years. So expect to see many battles because the city of Buffalo, particularly the east side of Buffalo, have become a prime area. And that's the only place where they can really redevelop and advance because the west side is already overfilled. There's no place in South Buffalo or North Buffalo. So the east side, we have a lot of vacant lots. We have a lot of owners who are not that involved. And we have gentrification. We have a movement, not just in Buffalo, but all across the country, to displace African Americans. I'm going to be very race specific from our own land. I have a situation, I have land in Tennessee, and the city of Brighton built a road through my property without me giving them an easement. I didn't agree to it. They did it by eminent domain. So expect to hear that word eminent domain to happen.
Yeah.
And that is why, I'm just going to say this, that's why I'm fighting so hard for the people of Humboldt Parkway to have a voice and a say in what happened to them in their own front yard. Sometimes we look at the bigger picture. Well, sometimes we have to see how we're going to maintain and keep our property when there is a movement to displace us.
Yeah. Well, Betty, you know, we agreed to disagree on that one with Humboldt Parkway, being that it was the people of Humboldt Parkway that movement was the reason why anything that's being done is being done now. It's not a perfect situation, but you know, we'll agree to disagree on that one. All right. But I appreciate the call.
We talked to the residents. The residents do not want that tunnel, and they have not addressed the residents.
The residents were the one that initiated this, and that wasn't the case with the people that initiated that brought this to fruition, that did that hard work for 15, 20 years. I talked to Stephanie. She was on my program, and she was in agreement with the tunnel. So that's not true.
But let me say this. There's a letter that Stephanie wrote, 2 letters, that she said that she would not agree until they do an environmental impact statement. And we have a copy of that letter. She agreed to that. She also said that they have to have air filtration, and they are not doing neither. They took out the air filtration. That system would not have an air filtration. It only have fans in the ceiling, and the wind knocks that out. So they disrespected Stephanie Jeter by not going to the 2 demands she had said before she agreed to it.
Well, I think the one thing when we talk about the environmental study, that would only happen if it was necessary to happen, and the fact that most of the work that they did justified the fact that there didn't need to be an extensive study because they had did all of the necessary things to show that it was not going to impact the environment and the community in a negative way that would cause you to initiate that impact study. And I think the judge also ruled on that. But I need to move on from that because I don't want to.
May I say one thing, and I'll hang up.
Go ahead, Betty, real quick.
They didn't assess the people. They didn't find out how many people are sick, how many people have died.
That's because the thruway has been open all of these years. We're not talking about the same thing now. Hey, Betty, I appreciate it. I got to go. I got some other phone calls. But, you know, like I said, we can agree to disagree on that, and that's fine. All right?
We got to fight in the city for our land, and we won't have it.
Well, let's do that today at 10 o'clock with Reverend McAllister. Appreciate you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Caller, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning,
Good morning.
Bishop and First Lady.
Good morning.
I just want to say this thread is right. Eminent domain is what's in play here. And that's just how they took land from black people many hundreds of years ago, okay? Mm-hmm. You know, the greater number is more important than the little people that you're getting ready to take over. Okay, and so I think the color of law, this could be, it's a federal discrimination law, okay, under the color of law. So, it's really sad that you have lawyers that are not being honest, okay? And it's just terrible. But, there is strength in numbers, and I'm going to be out there.
That's the thing. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
We need some bodies out there.
Thank you.
Yes, appreciate you. All right. Let's go back to our phone line. 837-1112, 837-1112. I guess our whole
Thank you,
conversation, which is, hey, listen, I have no problem with that because I'm going to support my brother and I'm going to support my community. Caller, you're on the air. Caller?
That's me?
Yes, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, go right ahead.
Go ahead, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
And I ain't going to forget you, Michael. Hi, Lord.
That's right. Don't be like Pat.
I just called to say I'm there with you. I'm going to be on my way there.
All right. Awesome. I see you there.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate you.
All right. Okay, love y'all both. Bye-bye.
Love you too.
All right.
837-1112, 837-1112 if you want to call in. Here's the interesting thing, throughout, and we're seeing, especially in the South, we're seeing that whole eminent domain thing happening. Here in this particular case, it's an easement.
Wow.
They're not, it wasn't an intimate domain. He still owns the property. But as the owner, you taking away my right to say how my property can be used. That's crazy.
And you know what's crazy? I've been, following this. Originally, Pastor McCown agreed to let them have a certain amount of park space along the building.
Sure.
I forget how many he gave them. And they want the whole thing. They want to put him out of his own church property.
I mean, if that's not white privilege at its highest, example, I don't know what is. I mean, the audacity. You don't even live here. You got all this parking on Main Street, and you want to take
both sides of the street,
right? And you want to take what belongs to this church, this black church? No, I think from the governor on down, and I think our politicians need to speak on this.
They need to be out there.
You need to. I mean, it don't matter that it's it's in the courts. You represent the people,
right?
You represent us.
You better watch what's going to happen again so you know how to help your community.
Right. You represent us. That regardless, it's an injustice. And we need to speak out against it.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, blessed love, Pastor. How are you today?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm thankful. I want to thank you for providing a platform for issues as they arise in our community. You've done that over the years, and I really, really, in the community, appreciates that.
Thank you.
They say be careful or pay attention to things far away because before you know it, they'll be at your door. There's a process that goes on around the world called settler colonialism. And there's a relation where people can talk about the gentrification of our community as an example of settler colonialism, where people from outside your community can come over and have their way with you, irregardless of what you think the law is. And I think that this is a case that we should look at because it's not just happening to the pastor. It's happening all throughout our community. So the relationship between what's called settler colonialism and what we call gentrification, I never thought of it that way. But in listening to other people, it became fairly clear to me that that's exactly what we're experiencing right now. But I want to say once again, thank you for bringing issues to the community.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's interesting because Miami Beach was owned by black people. Hilton Head was owned by black people. And you know why they gave them that property originally after slavery? Is because it wasn't farmland. But those people were able to take that land and cultivate it. And then, years later, they take it away. I mean, and now we're seeing the urban core was always because white folks had moved to the suburbs. And so the urban core was black people. Now that land has become valuable again. And so here we come.
Again.
But and I think as a people, at some point, we got to stand up and say no more. We got to stand up and say, no, this is wrong.
At Hilton Head years ago, we was at Hilton Head.
Oh, absolutely.
It was very It was a beautiful place. And
this was in the 80s.
Yeah, see that how they took the land from the African Americans that lived there.
Bust them in to do.
That's what I was getting ready to
do
say.
Housekeeping.
They bust them in, literally. We seen them on the bus, bust them in to do housekeeping, manual labor, and bust them back out of their own land that they own. And what they did, excuse me, because one of my friends, Pat, her family was a part of. They say it was 10 kids, and one child in that family went against the rest of the kids and sold that piece of land. They was able to take all of it.
And they've been doing that till this day. The other thing that they did is that once, they built a hotel, the value of the land went up everywhere. And so people lost their land because they couldn't afford the taxes.
Yep.
What should have happened is that they shouldn't have sold any of the land. They should have leased that land.
Yeah.
My understanding is that Myrtle Beach is pretty much owned by 2 or 3 families.
Yeah.
All of those hotels, they are on leased land. They never sold the land. And so I think we've got to learn how to be economically smart, to be entrepreneurs about certain things, especially if you own land in the South. The way the South is growing, what used to be tumbleweeds, what used to be just, a forest is now becoming shopping malls and hotels and, because everything is just spreading because so many people are moving, the migration is going back to the South. And like Betty was saying, the property that she owned, they took eminent domain and was able to build that road. But even with that, you're supposed to get, what the value of your property is, at least at that point. That but here again, it is a fight that we're having, and it's going to need some unity from our community.
Absolutely.
837-1112, 837-1112. I guess we've gone down a whole different road, but. At 1722 Main Street at 10 a.m., Reverend McAllister and the Midtown Bible Church will be holding a peaceful protest, and hopefully the community will come out to say, hey, listen, this is wrong. This is wrong. And here again, I need to share with you that it's their property. It's the church's property.
For years.
It's the church's property, and somehow this group from next door, and I don't care, that Pergulas or whoever are involved, right is right. Right is right. And the law is supposed to be blind. That's why that lady has the blindfold on, right? But we know that ain't what necessarily happens. But one thing about it, when enough of us show up, when enough of us show up, all of a sudden, and you start shining light, I can tell you, Pergula or whoever other name is, they don't want their name in the paper for something like that.
Absolutely.
But as long as they can think they can bully you, and there's no unity.
How can you tell them don't talk about it? I don't understand. Put a gag order on them?
Yeah. Well, that judge was just off the chain. But
and a lawyer.
Yeah.
But not showing up. He's a part of the scheme. Not showing up, and they got the case thrown out. They got what they wanted. Yeah. Paid him not to show up. That's all that happened. But
the thing of it is that the ethics for attorneys are very high. You start making complaints about an attorney's ethics, and they could lose their license. It's not something that attorneys play with. So I would hold my attorney accountable, bro. You gonna if I pay you to represent me, you gonna represent me, or we gonna have a problem. Okay, and so I think here again, and I don't know. The older I get, I still I haven't lost that fight. I mean, I just right is right.
Right.
It's interesting because at the leadership conference last week, Andrew Young was there.
Oh man, what a
man!
What
92 years old.
What I wish we could get that tape. I would love to.
92 years old.
Amazing to see all he's done in his lifetime in Atlanta. What was the quote they said that they said if you can't shoot Martin Luther King, shoot the visionary. If you don't, when they was trying to kill King,
right. The strategist.
The strategist. If you can't kill Martin Luther King, kill the strategist. That was
Andrew Young.
Oh man! Yeah. And it was one other guy that was there. He talked about Andrew. Said he still have survivor's grief because of Martin being killed, and it was just it was wonderful.
But to see what this black man has accomplished and what black people have accomplished in
that's why Atlanta.
Listen.
Ain't in Atlanta.
2
terms of mayorship and did all that work for that city.
Yeah. Well, Atlanta has had a rich history. What was the name of the street? Sweet Auburn, I think it was, where Martin and so many other families lived. And they've always valued education. They've always valued family. And you can see the fruit of their labor. Somebody has to be willing. See, one of the challenges that I think we faced in the North, and maybe I'm just going to talk about Buffalo, is that there hasn't been enough people now. I think in previous generations, there were those that were willing to make sacrifices.
Right.
I don't think we see that same type of willingness to sacrifice
fight
now.
For others.
Right.
Less.
I think it's I got to get mine. And instead of the collective whole of recognizing that a rising tide lifts all ships.
Goes up together.
And here's the thing: if I'm silent in your struggle, then who's coming to help me in mine? We are a brother's keeper. That's why. I've always been willing to use my platform when I felt that it was something to take advantage of our community, to use our voice to say, hey, no, we disagree with that. And so I think it's important that the community, and there's a lot of people that listen to this show, a lot of people listen. They don't call in, but they listen.
Yes.
I would hope that you would take sacrifice.
Just an hour.
Just an hour.
Just come down.
And just come down.
We would love to meet some of our listeners as well. I mean, we have so many friends that listen on the regular. And we're going to be there. We want you to come out, shake our hand and support. We're supporting. Listen, we're not private fellowship. It's just another community, another brother, sister, another church, another member of our community that's in need.
Right.
This is our job, our responsibility to come forth when somebody has a need. Not just to, for the show. We need to be at the ground floor helping each other.
And shame on us if you got to be a part of their denomination in order to support.
Absolutely.
I mean, what is that? That is just so backwards. And you wonder why we struggle the way we struggle. It's because there's no unity. I heard a comedian say he was doing an interview. I think he was on Shannon Sharp just recently, and he was talking about. He said there was this major drug dealer, right, that was doing business with the cartel out of China, right. And so he says, he was talking to this major drug dealer, and the Chinese guy says, he says, black people, he said, you people, you create culture. He says, you dress, everybody want to be like you. But I don't understand. We can divide you so easily.
Wow.
Why is that?
Wow.
And it's amazing. Wow. It's the same story over and over again. We'll be hard on each other.
No
but
mercy.
If you ask us to come together collectively to do anything, we got to go to the mall. Our values are upside down. Our values are upside down. I'm just hoping today that, and I thank God for Pat. Even though Pat, call and never don't say, "Hey Bishop, how you doing?" Nothing else. And Mo and Mario on, she gonna talk to them. She ain't talking to me. I don't know, Pat. Maybe we need to have a sit down. Find out what the issue is. But and I'm just joking. But
we know you love him, Pat.
One thing I say about Pat,
she's a fighter.
she put her feet where her mouth is.
Absolutely.
Listen, Pat showing up.
Front line.
Pat showing up.
Listen, I'm ever in a fight, I'm calling Pat.
Listen, Joyce, hear me, and I mean this seriously. If we had 100 Pats in our community, we could change Buffalo. I'm telling you. 100.
She don't just talk, she do. And then she get information, and she be on the right side. She goes for what's right. Not personally, not for self-gain. Who's right in this fight? That's who I'm going to fight with. Love her.
Yeah.
Love her.
I don't think people really understand. The majority never moves things. It's always this loud minority that does. If you had 100 people that show up at an event, you know what type of impact that had. A couple years ago, we had 70 brothers show up.
Oh, that was awesome.
At the school board meeting. Mm-hmm. Man, you talk about shifting things. It got folks' attention. If we can get 100, 200 people out there today to support Pastor McAllister, I'm telling you, it's going to make a difference, especially if the news is out there. Let's go. We got a couple more phone calls. We don't have a lot of time left. We've got about 6 minutes. But caller, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Bishop.
Good morning.
Mother Doyle.
Good morning, love.
I just want to take a minute. First of all, it's so nice to hear your wife on the air. You should have her on there more often.
I agree.
I just want to use my minute. I can't make it down to the rally, but I would like to encourage everyone who can
to
go down there and support. That's what I wanted to do. You both have a wonderful Resurrection Sunday and blessing to you all.
Thank you. Now that's coming from somebody that's on that wall on East Ferry. With E.D. Du Bois and so many other greats. And she's on that wall. She's saying to this community, I can't make, and she don't need to be out there. She's fought this fight. Mm-hmm. Now, let's stand on her shoulders and say, you know what, we're not going to let this happen in our community. Yes. Caller, you're on the air.
Yes, I just called to announce. Everybody don't look at Facebook, but Miss Eve died.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Make that announcement.
Yes.
Thank you, Pat.
Thanks,
I don't know no details, but I put it out there because a lot of people listen to the show. Mm-hmm. And I know you didn't mind me telling it.
Absolutely
but anyway, not. When our soldiers going on to the other side.
Yes.
Amen.
Eve's wife. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. She was definitely the wind underneath Arthur Eve's wings. And what a dynamic woman she was. Me and Terry McCalvey were talking about Constance just the other day, and she went on to receive her reward. And the Women of Dignity have done so much, built housing for single mothers,
wraparound services for the mothers,
all kind of things that she's done, and never asked to be recognized. She just did it because it was the right thing to do. See, we're losing that generation.
It's not.
We're losing that generation.
So many of that generation that wasn't afraid to fight, couldn't be paid off, was there from the beginning to the end. I was thinking about that because we've lost so many of our great leaders. What's going to happen to us?
Well,
what's going to happen?
Hopefully,
who's going to stand up and fight for those that they can't fight for themselves?
I think that history has taught us that there's always a ram in the bush, and sometimes the light doesn't begin to come back until there's gross darkness. And so, sometimes it skips a generation, but then it'll come back around. I just believe history teaches us that. Amen. Also, we want to recognize that Carrie O'Horn's dad passed, and
and he was our oldest member. He won the every Father's Day we honored, the oldest father, most children. He will win every year. He was 99 years young. He was. What a sweet man. Not honoring him this year.
I know. Well, we've been missing him since COVID.
But he's been out a couple of times, but he's not getting sick. But
he's gone on to reward. And,
I see him doing his little shout.
Yeah, and the funeral service is going to be Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, as of right now, Wednesday at Bethesda.
Yeah,
we work on the time. They meet with the funeral director Pastor Core today. So I'm sure as of right now it's going to be Wednesday at Bethesda.
So here again,
military honors as
military, yeah. So here again, we're losing that generation, and to be honest with you, we ain't got
my.
I'm
turning back the hands of time. I'm turning it back.
We might have another 10, 15,
no. You gotta say
20
30,
years.
30.
Well, 30. At 30 years, I'm gonna be 98 years old.
That's all right. He's 99. He just went home. That's all good.
Yeah. Well, as long as I'm functioning, and
Andrew Young is 92 still. Yeah, okay, so we're good.
Yeah, as long as I'm functioning and I got my wits about me. I can drive. Ain't nobody got to take care of me, wipe me, nothing like that. No, then I'm good. When I'm no longer physically able, Lord, take me on home.
Ready.
Let me go. I don't want to go no nursing home. I don't want none of that. But right now, I'm strong.
Yes, sir.
Right now, I feel like Caleb. I'm still able to take my mountain. I feel like Joshua. My strength or my eyes have not abated, and so we still fighting.
Yeah,
we still fighting, and we still in this thing for our community. I love black people. Now there's I don't like a lot of stuff that some of us do. But I love black people. I love black people. And we're out of time, but not out of conversation. Almost tomorrow.
Oh, yes, it's our Resurrection Sunday.
Yeah, and Mo's going to be sharing the word.
Okay, Mo's sharing the word.
We
had a
Easter
wonderful
Sunday.
Good Friday service.
We had a wonderful.
We Liz wanted to change the sanctuary to the garden. It was just wonderful. You know what? Real quick, I had a rough day yesterday. And my youngest, my baby grandson Joseph, we said everybody know how we do it with the disciples, and so he wanted to be a disciple. It was like God just gave me a peace. I just stood in the back and cried because seeing my baby, my youngest grandchild, serving in the house of the Lord at 11 years old, and he served you communion.
Yeah, he did. He
I
served
was
me
like,
communion.
oh God, I thank you.
Yeah.
So come out tomorrow. We're going to have, I called my youth department, make sure we had enough candy for all the kids that's coming in.
Our children's church, youth department, nursery, all open.
Children's church is singing tomorrow. Our youth choir is singing tomorrow. So we're super excited. Come out, be blessed. Bring your children. This is that time of the year where they all can come to church. So God bless you. We look forward to see you. And I want to meet you on Main Street at a Midtown Church. Meet me there.
We're on our way there.
On our way.
Hey, listen. Out of time, not out of conversation. As you heard today, I had my better half with me. I'm always better with Joyce, and so we're excited that she was able to be a part of the program today. We're celebrating Easter. Come on out, be a part of it. And until next week, this is Bishop Michael A. Badger, Senior Pastor, Bethesda World Harvest and National Church. And beside me is
Lady J. God bless.
And we say peace.